If you're using Instagram Stories and don't want something like this, to look like this, then this video is for you. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Wedding Cinema University, where we are focused on creating easy photo and video tutorials to help you improve your craft and your business. Now, if you've been using Instagram, which you definitely should be, then you are probably familiar with Instagram Stories, which is basically Instagram's way to compete with Snapchat, offering posts that don't clutter your main feed and disappear after 24 hours, while still allowing you to tag other accounts. It's a great way to share things that you may not want on your main feed, like perhaps behind the scenes shots or something like that, in addition to giving you another avenue to distribute your professional work. However, at least for me, I still want to make sure that what I'm uploading is of high quality, even if it's on Instagram Stories and even if it's going to disappear after 24 hours, so I'm not usually using my phone. And today, I want to show you how to format your professional videos for Instagram Stories using any editing platform. Now, while we're getting set up here, know that I'm talking specifically about video, though the concept is the same for photo as well. And I'm going to be using Final Cut Pro, but similarly, the concepts will be the same across any editing platform. Now, one of the main hangups with Instagram Stories is that they're locked to only display in portrait mode, as if you hold your phone vertically. Now, this isn't a problem with photos necessarily, but video is shot almost entirely in landscape mode. Not only is it incredibly zoomed in, but you don't even get to choose where it crops in, it just chooses the middle of the frame, which usually doesn't work well. Don't worry though, because I'm going to go over 3 different ways to format your professional videos, including keeping it in landscape mode, so you can choose what's right for you. Alright, so here we are in our editor, and this is a teaser for a wedding film that we created a little while ago. This is what I also use for my example of Instagram Stories cropping, what you're putting in there. So what I want to do is I'm going to make a new project. This was my teaser. You can see it up here, but obviously the dimensions are going to be different. So I'm going to make a new project, and I'm going to make sure it is custom resolution, and you're just going to switch these. So it's actually going to be 1080, so 1080 wide by 1920 high. And all this, depends on what you'd like to do, but I'm going to keep those things that way. So now you can see this is the dimensions of an iPhone screen if you were to hold it vertically. All right, so I'm going to go into my teaser here, and I'm going to just highlight everything. I don't need this part. Copy, and then I'll go in. I actually named it Untitled Project, I guess. But this is the story, so I'm going to just paste it. Now, of course, it will need to render. You can see my orange bar here, but already you can see that this will automatically import, at least in this editor, and it will be presented in landscape mode while still fitting what Instagram Stories needs. So this is the best way to preserve your aspect ratio while delivering in the format that Instagram Stories needs. Now, I would do something a little bit different here. I don't like black on either side. I actually prefer to add in a white. So if I just add this in, my computer's being a little slow here because it is rendering. If I just add this in and drag it all the way to the front, I'm going to go ahead and clip this at the end there. Now you can see that it's white. This is actually smoky white, so I'm going to change that to bright white. So that's what I usually do, and to be consistent with my brand and whatnot. But now you can see I'm going to play through it here. It keeps that aspect ratio. We still have our audio going. Of course, I have that turned off so you can hear my voice. And then if this is what I wanted to export as my final project, I would go to Share, Master File. I'm going to name this Story Landscape. And in my settings, H.264, 1080 by 1920. And I'm going to go ahead and export that. Now, there's a couple other ways that you can do this as well. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete every clip here, except for one, just to make this a little bit easier. Now, this is the way that I would choose to do it, what I've already exported, but there are two other ways. So similar to Instagram stories, if you don't mind that it's going to crop in, you can go ahead and do that in your editor. The nice thing about doing it yourself is if you actually like that vertical aspect ratio, or it just works for whatever you're trying to do, is that you can actually decide where it crops in. So, this shot might actually work because if Instagram stories was to take it, they would crop in just like that. It would be right in the center there, which isn't a huge deal. That's probably where you want it. That's where my two subjects are. But, if I had this shot and I actually wanted it to be on, something that was over here, the lake, Instagram stories would crop in here and you wouldn't even see that. So this way you can drag it around, pick where you want the frame to be. Similarly, if I go ahead and put this back to where it was, the other thing that you can do is you can take this and you can rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it negative 90 degrees, or you could do 90 degrees, and then you're going to have to go ahead and zoom in to get it to fit, and something about there. So if you take your Instagram story and you upload it like this, the benefit is that it is filling the full screen, as opposed to the first one we exported. The downside is that the user does have to tilt their phone so it's horizontal. Now, that's not necessarily a huge deal, but it is something to keep in mind. So really, you just need to kind of decide what's best for your specific situation and the content that you're uploading. So the export process is going to be the same. You're just going to go to share, and I'm going to actually delete all this stuff because it is way more than what I need. So I'm going to go to share, master file, and it's going to be the same. I'm going to name it story rotated. Settings will be the same. Aspect ratio is still the same because the actual video going out is that same aspect ratio, even if they're supposed to tilt it. Hit next. This one's obviously a lot smaller as it's only one clip instead of that full clip. And then it will export and you'll have the file. Now, a couple things to note. I actually exported a full 1 minute clip on this video. So I went back in. Instagram Stories is limited to 15 seconds, I believe. So I've gone back in and I've exported just the first 15 seconds to show you. And also know that Instagram Stories requires that the content was created in the last 24 hours. Now, if you have a video already on your phone, if I've exported this video and I waited a week to post it, it's not going to show up. You can, of course, go back into your editor and re-export, and that will get around that, but just something to keep in mind if you do run into that problem. Now, as far as getting the content from your computer to your phone, there are two good ways, at least two ways that I use. First off, you can use AirDrop. It's right here in your Finder, and then on your phone, you're just going to swipe up and turn AirDrop receiving on to everyone or to contacts only. I, however, have issues with this. It works intermittently. When it works, it is hands down the fastest way, but it doesn't always work for me. So I'll often use Dropbox as well. You'll just upload it to Dropbox on your computer and then download it on your phone. All right, so you can see here in my camera roll that I've got both of these videos. This is the one that we rotated. So it's going to show up sideways for right now. And this is the one that we kept landscape mode. This is the 15 seconds that I exported after already exporting the 1 minute one, since there is that limit. Now I'm just going to go into Instagram, and I'm actually already in my stories, but I would just go here, click on your story up in the top here, and then you're just going to swipe up. This opens your last 24 hours, you can see there. And like I said, if you have content that you maybe saved and you held on to for a couple days, you're actually, it's not going to show up in here. So this is all stuff that I've saved in the last 24 hours. These were my tests over here, and then these are the ones that we exported. So you can see if I go like this, it's going to show up sideways for anybody that watches my story, though that's not necessarily a bad thing. They can just turn their phone and it will keep that aspect ratio. It'll keep that orientation. And just to show you the other one here, I'm going to swipe up again. This is the one that we kept the aspect ratio, but of course it is smaller. However, they don't need to turn their phone. And you can see how that would look. I think that tags work better in this orientation since they are kept right side up. And I'm going to go ahead and tag everybody who is involved in this wedding. And then when it's all set up the way you want it to, you're just going to hit this bottom right, add it to your story. And after you've hit send, you can go ahead and look at your story. There it is playing. Everybody can see it, and everybody that was tagged will get a notification as well. So that's how to format your videos using any editor for Instagram stories, and how to keep that aspect ratio if that's important to you as well. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or any topics that you want to learn about, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'd also love for you to like this video, subscribe, and follow along with Wedding Cinema University as we create more photo and video tutorials to help you improve your craft and your business. Thanks.